The Applause team recently posted a video about the swing atop the Amsterdam Lookout. In it, we discussed various safety measures, why they are so important, and how they relate to regulatory compliance. Today's video will examine some of the documentation that the Amsterdam Lookout managers needed to submit, as well as the specific agencies of the Dutch government from which the Amsterdam Lookout needed to get regulatory approval. So, let's get started. First, who would even regulate the swing atop the Amsterdam Lookout? A quick internet search revealed that the Netherlands Food and Consumer Product Safety Authority to be the relevant government authority. We should note that this is the English translation, as indicated on their website. The NVWA inspects amusement rides at fairs, carnivals, amusement parks and other events in order to evaluate if they are safe and in accordance with Dutch regulations. The NVWA also investigates accidents with amusement rides. Needless to say, the Dutch government is rather stringent when approving these rides. As indicated on their website, all devices must undergo recurring inspections by an Inspection and Certification Institute, AKI, appointed for such tests by the Dutch Ministry of Health, Welfare and Sports. Furthermore, the Dutch government makes no distinction in whether the ride is a temporary or permanent attraction. An Inspection and Certification Institute must always issue a safety certificate, nor does it matter if a non-appointed institute issued a test certificate. AKI certification is always mandatory. Should a ride not have AKI certification, then simply they are not allowed to operate in the Netherlands. Operating such a device without such certification is an economic offence that will result in fines and other penalties. After registering such a ride to the authorities obtaining AKI certification, the amusement ride will be provided with a certificate of approval. This approval certificate must be placed on the ride in a visible spot. The ride will also be registered in the RAS system, the Recreatie Attractie Registratie. While the Applause team, admittedly, is not fluent in Dutch, this is essentially a registry of amusement rides operating in the Netherlands. So getting approval to operate the swing atop the Amsterdam Lookout was clearly and understandably a rigorous process. But what kind of documentation did the management needed to submit? Granted, the Applause team obviously wasn't privy to this paperwork, but it may surprise some of our viewers that while their documentation itself had to be very thorough and virtually airtight, it really was not any different from what other companies in other industries must submit to get regulatory approval. First, amusement park ride safety documentation involves rigorous daily checks, meaning the Amsterdam Lookout management must test the swing daily to ensure it works the way it is designed. Having said that, the powers that be needed to specify manufacturer guidelines and show how the ride follows these guidelines. They needed to document how the swing was designed, manufactured and installed, not to mention how swing operators are trained to operate the rides. In plain English, that is nothing more than standard operating procedure or instruction manuals. Finally, there are inspection logs, manufacturer specifications, and risk assessments. A risk assessment is just what it sounds like, the risk that a product will malfunction. We will discuss all these forms of documentation in future videos. That said, all of these policies ensure compliance with Dutch law, as well as local government, which in this case would be the municipality of Amsterdam. Finally, should the worst-case scenario occur and the ride malfunctions, the Amsterdam Lookout must submit reports to the relevant authorities. Management must also show how they've conformed with industry standards. We will discuss industry standards in future videos, but for now, the main ones are EN, which is European Technical Standards for Products, Services, or Processes. There's ISO, which is International Organization for Standardization. Finally, ASTM stands for American Society for Testing and Materials. So this is a general overview of the specific documentation that the Amsterdam Lookout management needed to submit and the specific regulatory authorities with whom they had to work. But we will examine documentation and regulatory authorities in future videos. So how can the Applause team assist? Applo's Device Regulatory Consulting UK Limited helps companies interested in getting regulatory clearance for their products, but without the bloated fees and intimidating jargon. We can help with advising clients on material to include in a submission, reviewing submissions, doing a gap analysis, and compiling regulatory documentation from scratch, as well as more. We explain clearly and concisely so as not to intimidate or overwhelm anyone. From our London-based offices, we work with companies all over the world. Contact us today to learn more about what we do, your needs, and how we might be able to assist. Please let us know too, what questions do you have? What would you like the Applo's team to address? Please also subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, as we are constantly posting more videos. And thank you as always for watching.